Ladies and gentlebeans, welcome to the Passion Pit. I've got my bearded compadre again. He thought he could escape. He can't. He's here, and we're back with some more Call of Duty action. Mr. Pablito, how are you, mate? I'm sorry I roped you in again, buddy.
Oh, it's fine. You know, I was sat here just twiddling my thumbs, doing nothing, eating McDonald's on this super diet that I'm going on with. A stringent exercise routine is at the forefront of my mind, obviously. But as soon as the call came out, I saw the PAB signal in the sky. I was like, I know the major needs me. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to come and pop along and provide some useless and definitely unanalytical skills to this evening's escapades.
That's all right. We've both got the specs on today, so we can see what's going on. Hopefully,
it's the minimap. The minimap. Everything about this game is so broken. Like at least Vanguard, when it was broke, it was clearly broke. Like we had godlights and craziness. This is just broken all the worst kind of ways. Like the map's a little bit too small. The spawns have gone AWOL. Every TTK's a bit too fast.
Oh, the clips on Twitter for some of these spawns. I do feel bad for the guys that they literally have one half of the map locked down. They're looking as to where the other team can spawn, and then one bloke just goes out of some form of, like, I don't know, Avengers like portal, just comes out of nowhere and just shoots them all in the back. And I'm just like,
honestly,
wow.
Major, I'm waiting for my wife to be like, there's a triangle in the kitchen, I'm like, what the hell? No, I mean, I literally saw the rotations last post, and the guy Dave, I wouldn't mind the team that have got like the right side for the hill are like, yeah, we're set up, we're good to go, and then a complete random like triangle just pops up in the top corner, and you can just they're done. It's just like an easy 4-piece. It's insane. So never mind. It is what it is. We have to work with it until you know they've only had 16 years or so making Call of Duty games to get it right. So let's give them a bit more time, guys.
Yeah, no, we got to give them. They got a couple of years, so who knows? Maybe by, I'm thinking, end of November next year, we might have it when the new game comes out. But no, we'll have to wait and see. But regardless of the rogue spawns, we're back again with XP League, one of the tournaments we'll be covering, hopefully for the coming months in Europe. And we've got another Division 1 Group A game, and our game this evening is going to be Incentive Arise Dynasty, who I will be calling IA Dynasty because otherwise I think I will fall over my own words. But the roster on their side, Pablo, are a group of players that we actually know quite a bit about, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to just quickly just point out, I don't think we've cast over Riz a great deal. I know you said earlier you recognise the name, but Hayden, EU, Ghost, and Skittles, or as I used to call them back in the day, Scatless, are legends. We've cast over these guys many times. EU, Ghost, an absolute ton last year. And obviously, Big Craig, he's one of the more entertaining characters in the COD scene, so it's great to get him. And a bit of a cast over the top of him, and Hayden, who's just a very capable player and just someone who's always in and around these Division 1s in these leagues.
Yeah, so we will obviously be taking a look as well at the maps that these guys are going to be playing on, and everyone's favourite map at the moment, it seems. We've got Double Embassy, Breenberg, Al-Bagra, and then we end on a Breenberg hotel, so we'll have to see how these ones managed to fare up, and we will actually quickly shout out the guys, the boys, because I didn't actually do it, but to be fair, we don't actually know a huge amount about them. Slap, Solomon, Callum, and Cesar, but if memory serves me well, let me just quickly double check and see, because they are currently 4-0 at the moment, so neither the boys or Incentive Arise Dynasty have actually dropped any games, or any series, should I say. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys fare up, because we know Hayden's boys usually bring quite a lot to the table, don't they, Pabs, in terms of his rosters. So we've got two unbeaten teams here, where one of them is going to have an L on their side, which could shake up the group a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, this is lining up to be a very interesting game. Obviously, I was having a little bit of knowledge about the players. We're expecting to see that kind of very quick, chaotic play that we expect out of Craig, which is Skittles. But again, we watched the EU Ghost, who can be a very capable AR over much of Vanguard. So, hopefully we're going to see a great game, and hopefully this is going to be, possibly a separation game in the league, but we'll wait and see. It'd be nice to see these guys in Hayden and Skittles under a bit of pressure, because they did so well normally when we cast over them. EU Ghost has got that capability. If you remember, how many times we cast them. What was the map in Vanguard, the railway map in Vanguard? My memory's so much. Berlin, there we go. Yeah. Memory's so bad. How many times did we see EU Ghost take over that particular map towards the latter half of a hard point, or just really start to step up? So hopefully, we're going to see the same out of everyone. But yeah, I'm excited to see another great game. We've already seen our first game together in this new iteration. We already got to a game 5, so yeah. I'm expecting exactly the same to happen here.
Yeah, so hopefully we get the same thing as last time. A nice cheeky game 5. A lot of close hard points from from what we saw in that last series between Vitalize Academy and Divinity Empire. That was obviously in Group B, though, so we'll have to see if these guys can produce similar runny bum moments, I suppose, is the best way to phrase it in this one. But we are now going to be loading into map number 1, as you guys will have seen. So Embassy Hardpoint should be starting
I wanted to ask
shortly.
you a question, right? Someone had popped it on the timeline a couple of days ago. In COD Mobile, the S&D is similar to Valorant. You have to win by 2 rounds in order to actually go on, and you get like round 20 style games. And I just wondered what your thoughts were. If we should employ that in this game in like main COD.
20 rounds of COD?
20 rounds of S&D. Just in S&D, you have to win by 2.
Jesus, I hope they've got enough sneak energy for that, because that would be, yeah, that would be very, very interesting, it must be said. But
add them all overdose in the background.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. But we are now underway, guys, with map number 1 here between the boys and Incentive Arise Dynasty. And if you guys did miss it, both of these teams currently unbeaten in XP League Division 1 Group 8. So we'll have to see how these guys get on. And already, as we come to expect from a lot of P1 hills, there's a lot of mess going on all over the map, but the boys currently have a little bit of time as to show for it. But obviously, Pablo, we all know P1 usually kind of the warm-up hill to get ready for the inevitable P2.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're already seeing a kind of like a distinct split in the strategy. You can see Hayden's pushed up quite a bit, already starting to think about that potential wrap for P2. And he's been at tennis court for some time now. He's got himself a couple of picks, but that has obviously left him kind of vulnerable. And you can see those blue arrows starting to circumvent. Number 4 in Slap managed to get out back, but it does look like he is going to get taken down. So, you know, despite that kind of almost predictable P1 chaos, it does look like IA Dynasty are going to be just getting a bit of a slender lead. It is very early days in this first rotation, though, Major.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hayden was actually holding quite a good angle over towards those cars. He will get taken down, though. CM's going to manage to get a couple of kills, so this is now an opportunity for the boys to try and get involved in towards the party. Incentive Dynasty, they have now got a little bit of a cushion, but the boys in blue, they are now back on that point, soaking at that time. Skittles is going to try and go for the contest, but meanwhile, you can see the ARs just trying to do their damage over towards some of those headies, and CM manages to get another pick at the moment, but a little bit of back and forth as the scrap time looks as though it will go in favour of the boys. So they've had a really good regain on that hill. They've just been able to break in, soak up a little bit of scrap time, and with the remains of it, they might see a bit of a lean change. And now we see a combined 5 streak between Solomon, Cesar, and Slapped.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been a good opportunity for the boys for them to be able to get an opportunity to get onto that P3. It was a huge push from 2 players, just needed to take that risk. They've risked it and they've managed to come out on top. They've got themselves a slender lead, which is a nice turnaround. And Major, this is already looking like the kind of encounter we've wanted out of the 2 teams that remained undefeated. But yeah, you can see the Yellow Arrows trying the best, but they've spawned out a little bit, so it's going to be a bit of a hike to get over there and contest. And right now, the boys have got themselves, I don't think they've been able to get on the kill as much as they'd like to. They've managed to hold the team in IA Dynasty back a little bit, but it is going to be Skittles, Craig, they're just getting onto the point and giving themselves a bit more of a lead. With 25 seconds remaining on this hill, things remain tight though, Major.
Yeah, this is still quite a sizable chunk of time. You can see now that Solomon and Slaps are going to try and take this man off the hill, and they do manage to do it. So Skittles will fall, and number 5, you can see Hayden's going to look to try and just maybe do the same thing as he flies onto the car, but Slap wins the gunfight, so no scrap time going in favour of Incentive Arise on that one. And now as the boys get ready for P3, we can see there's already a bit of an outnumbering, as actually Cesar manages to grab both Riz and Skittles. So starting to storm in towards the hill. Solomon's now got a couple of gunfights on his hand, able to take down Ghost. Hayden is still just lurking nearby, but his teammates come through with the goods. They manage to punch their way straight into the hill. And now this is a really good opportunity for them to get a huge chunk of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to add just how grateful I am that they've called themselves the boys, because half the time you spend trying to look to remember the name of the team, and you don't need to worry too much. You can literally just fall back on the boys. Ooh. But it is going to be frenetic, and it's going to be CM with a nice 2 pieces. He takes down Skittles and EU Ghost. 2 big kills there. That's going to give them a good chunk of a lead as well. We're about to hit potentially 30 seconds. It's the first time we've seen this kind of separation between the 2 sides. And again, it does look like slowly but surely the boys are slowly getting control of the map. You can see how, you know, they've got 1 player just sat nicely in hill with 10 seconds left, while they've got 3 players allowing them to rotate. And not just that, this is going to come as something of a surprise for the team in yellow, IA Dynasty, with a lot of work to do, Major.
Yeah, Hayden's going to try and fly in, and he is able to take down Solomon, but you can still see that Slaps is lurking, and he is now going to be that man soaking up the time. So this lead is getting a little bit dangerous just in the early stages here for Incentive Arise Dynasty. They're going to have a difficult problem now, because you can see Riz is kind of on his lonesome as Skittles falls. Riz will take CM down. but the boys are still soaking up the time, so they are going to have to try and force something out here, but Solomon's able to win a gunfight. It's getting really, really messy inside the hill as trades go back and forth, but it looks as though the last player standing again will be in the color of blue. And now with a 70-point deficit and the kills, I mean, when you look at the scoreboard, Pabs, it is all the boys.
Yeah, absolutely, and across the board as well. Normally, you would, see a one player stand out, two players stand out, but every single player pulling their weight. It's incredible to see. And right now, from Solomon's point of view, they've kept absolute control of this kitchen kill. So a lot of work for IA Dynasty to do. And you've got some absolutely appalling scorelines on that right-hand side of that screen. Craig having an appalling game, 5 and 16 with only 30 seconds under his belt, and it's just not been great, despite the fact that Hayden and EU Ghost have been getting, at least into double figures. Riz just shortly behind. It's still not enough, and that is a sizable lead. And we're getting into that territory, Major, we talk about all the time, that kind of golden zone in hardpoint where you can slow down, you can take 20 seconds off the kill. We're at maybe 50 seconds off that point, but the boys just looking very, very tasty for that at the minute.
Yeah, this is a much better P1, though, saying that, though, CM is able to take down Ghost, who was that man on the hill. Now, as he looks to try and get in towards his main embassy building, he might actually be able to work a pinch around a few of these players.
You might need to relink me, boss.
Yeah, I'll do that in a second, mate. And yeah, there's one kill coming through. The CM able to drop that player. And just as I quickly get Mr. Pablito back in, because my internet is deciding to shit the bed right now. So I'll try and sort you out, mate. 1 second, chat, because I need to sort him out. There you go. So you should be good now. But yeah, 100-point lead is slowly being reduced now, as it's only going to stand at around 60. These two teams, and Dynasty at the moment, you would look towards the likes of Skittles and the likes of Riz to maybe try and pull something out the bag here, because when they're not getting the kills around the hill that they need to be getting, it can become a bit brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one thing that the boys have been really adept at, but they're getting a lot of kills, but they aren't really transferring that into time. And let's be perfectly honest, if IA Dynasty do start to get a bit of momentum and get a little bit of a kind of advantage, a bit of a shift in luck even, then they're going to be able to turn that into time with a couple of very experienced players. That is still around on about a 60-point deficit, but if you just allow IA Dynasty to get back into the game by not collecting time, this could be, a very enjoyable game for the boys in terms of kills, but if they don't get their asses onto that hill, then this could be a problem for them.
Yeah, I thought Slap was going to win the second one as well. He's not going to be able to, though. But Dynasty, again, this cushion that the boys have got is still standing at about 60, but you can now see that Hayden is ready and waiting round the corner on the hill. But look at number 2, Solomon. He's going round the back. Is he going to manage to pinch these players up above him? Up the ladder he goes. He's going to have a couple of presents waiting for him. There's one for him. Looking at the second onto Hayden, and nice work there from Solomon to clear out those last remaining players on the hill. And now it's going to be up to incentivize Dynasty again, just to try and get on their bikes, get over towards the hill, try and get the picks, but they're not going to be able to do it, as those ARs are now going to find themselves locked into position. And now as they try and push through tennis courts, it's going to be so difficult for them to even get near to this one, Pabs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you're an SMG player on this IA Dynasty side, you're going to have to say goodbye to this hill, because you're not even going to get close. They've got, tennis court locked down, they've got back spawn locked down, and they've managed to get themselves a solid chunk of time. From being at 149, they've, added at least 30 seconds to that time, which is something we haven't seen on any hill for the, since P1. So good work for them. And just on the cusp of us saying that they've, they needed to get some hill time to make up for the amount of kills that they've been getting. Right now, a big job on the hands of IA Dynasty. This game is slowly but surely slipping away from them, and unless there's an absolute turnaround in this game, I can see this being a 1-0 in no time at all.
Yeah, I do worry for them now. The 200-point mark is lurking, and again, Skittles still hasn't even managed to get onto double digits yet, so it's going to be all that harder. Solomon now on a 5 streak, looking to try and push it out even further. Is he going to check the corner? Yes, he is. So Hayden's going to fall. He's looking for the second one onto Riz out the back, but Riz was a really big gunfight. But again, the trades from the boys are just there for all to see. They're constantly watching the angles that each other need to. And now with these trophies down, it's going to be so hard for them to get towards the hill. You can see Hayden flying around, but it's going to be the same outcome for him as the boys line up. There's 2 for Cesar. Is he going to potentially get a third? No, he's not. So the double kill is going to be the end of that one. But again, still big one-on-ones going on the hill, and Solomon is able to win another one as CM takes down Hayden. And now this is really starting to be a bit of a panic battle now for Incentivized Dynasty. They've got to obviously keep contesting the hill pads, but at the same time, they can't just afford to keep running in one at a time.
Yeah, there was some kind of odd play. Hayden kind of pushes across mid, doesn't even check down that centre kind of area at all. Just tries to push across it, frenetically trying to get to the hill. And that is not how you want to play this team. You know, when we get to the final scores, not only are we going to see this incredible slaying coming out of every player on the boys' side, but their non-tradeds are probably going to be up there as well. And that's not a good sign if you're IA Dynasty, because you've been filing into the previous few kills one at a time. You have been slowly be getting dealt with. Don't get me wrong, the slaying power out of this team in blue has been incredible, but there's been some really rookie mistakes coming out of this team. And don't get me wrong, Major, it's early doors and things can change over the time, but this is a massive game. I'm sure IA Dynasty wanted to win.
This is a lot better though on this hill. This is a lot better on this kitchen hill from the boys in Centre of Arise. But CM's able to get the first pick, so potentially a child that didn't necessarily need to take Big Ghost, but he will fall, and now they're all falling by the wayside. As Cesar gets another big two-piece, and now with only 13 seconds remaining, it looks as though Ghost is going to have to be the man to make the play. He's going to get a couple of bullets into Slap, but Slap lays prone, and he does exactly what it says on the tin. He manages to put some bullets in, and he completely wipes him out. In Centre of Arise Dynasty, they are desperately trying to touch the hill, but it will not happen, and map 1 will go in the way of the boys in a fairly convincing fashion, Pabs.
Oh, I would say more than convincing. I mean, we're about to see, you know, what could potentially happen in terms of non-traded kills. I am desperate to see the stats, but the end game, the end hold is exactly what you see in the rest of that game. They held it. They managed to get the picks on the players rushing in. The IA guys just time after time were just filtering in. 20 non-traded, 19 and 15 non-traded. Insane capabilities.
Yeah, so I will just quickly sort out all the relevant scores and make sure I put it on the right side. 1 second. But yeah, really good work from those boys. I mean, if you're picking out an overarching player really on the boys, they all kind of did their job, Pabs. There wasn't really a particular individual that you could look to say, well, they pulled the boys through. They all really they all pulled their weight in that one. It felt as though it was a really good team effort from those lads.
Absolutely incredible play from them, and at times really clever as well. They, you know, they rotated early when they knew they had, you know, a good 15-second hold of the hill. They spread out, they pushed out, and it made it difficult for IA Dynasty to be able to, you know, even get close. We saw that when they, you know, they got to top orange, and you're trying to fight, you're trying to get those scars across tennis court to try and get picks, and it's so difficult. You've got the sun in your face, so many different things to just make it so difficult, and it's very kind of emblematic of the problems that IA Dynasty had throughout the game. They just never really got any momentum. Skittles couldn't get any kills to save his life, and it's not something we see Craig do very often. He usually gets a ton of kills. He's usually very aggressive, but every player, and you just look at it's bizarre to see just how almost equal they are in terms of kills and time. Very much a team effort from the boys. These look very tidy.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they look like in Search as well, because we've seen a couple of teams previously on obviously different games where they've been very, very good at Respawn or very good at Search, whereas finding a team that has kind of got that balance between both game modes isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do. Obviously, I remember when we first saw the likes of Higgy and Kez coming through in Cold War, to be fair to them, every single game mode they were very, very good at, and now we look at them now and they're well and truly cemented in the challenger scene because they were so well rounded at pretty much every game mode when they came onto the scene during Cold War. So again, another set of players that we don't know a huge amount about, but from what we know, I say when we're looking at benchmarks for teams that we know are competitive, especially in these kind of amateur European leagues, this Centre of Arise Dynasty roster, they're not going to be a pushover by any means. And obviously we can see it in the league. They haven't lost at the moment, but you look at that map 1 and it looked as though the boys were the staple team that we're used to seeing kind of in these leagues, and in Centre of Arise Dynasty were kind of put to the sword and almost made to get knocked down a peg or two.
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of. I don't know where the boys are in terms of their understanding the community, but you know, a lot of those players on the IA Dynasty side, they're regular 2K players, they're regular weekend players. They will enter the cups, and they'll look to at least get themselves into the top 64. And they have a good day, they'll get into the top 32. It's not that surprising to see their names in and around that kind of area. Yeah. But this was a surprise. The boys have absolutely rocked them. But what's more interesting is it was such a strategic game. It wasn't just a case of being super slayers. They rotated really effectively. They made great choices when it came to just leaving one player on the hill. They broke really effectively. The strategies are there. It wouldn't surprise me if S&D, if they're very capable at that. You know, when we talk about these players like Kez and Higgy and that, we're talking about players who've got, like, it's taken for granted that they've got good gun skill. But, you know, their ability to be able to take on instruction from from a good in-game leader to someone that's going to be dictating the strategies is the key. Really, is being able to not just take it in, but being able to then implement it at speed in the game. And we know that Hayden, Ghost, and Skittles, I don't know that much about Riz, have done that in the past, but this boys team have just absolutely blown them out of the water.
Yeah. So if you guys did miss map number 1, it was pretty one-sided. The boys managed to take it on the Embassy hardpoint 250 to 141. I will just show you guys our series for what maps we're coming to expect. So we will be staying on Embassy, obviously switching up to Search and Destroy. We've then got Breenberg, Control, Albagra, Fortress, Hardpoint, and then Breenberg Hotel for map number 5 as well. But if you're picking out a map for the boys to kind of maybe... Oh, sorry, not I was going to say the boys to take, the boys of Incentive Rise, but we've got the boys, so it's difficult for me to say that now. I can't use my autopilot phrase anymore. Yeah, I know. The fellas of Incentive Rise. I mean, you don't want to go 2-0 down in this series, really, do you? Let's be honest. I mean, we had it the other day when we cast Vitalize Academy versus Divinity Empire. To be fair, Divinity Empire went 2-0 up in that series. And they managed to come back to it. So... You can never count a team out, but
I just think with that slaying power, you don't want to go into a control 2-0 down knowing you're going to go up against a team that every single player seems to be able to slay out. That especially when the Greenberg control is an absolute nightmare. You've got this super simple A that you can if you're the attacking side that you can get, but the B is an absolute nightmare. And honestly, with the slaying power of the boys, if they start on the defensive side, they're going to be rubbing their hands together. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath unless Dynasty have got something really surprising up their sleeve.
Yeah, and obviously Breenberg Hotel, we have obviously cast that one the last series that we did cast. Again, it does feel as though it is a very slay heavy map. And one thing that I mentioned to you before is it kind of reminds me a little bit of Tuscan Control, in that one point seems to be incredibly easy to get and the other one seems to be a hell of a lot more difficult. But in terms of kind of what you would come to expect potentially from these teams in a Control, obviously we understand the gun skills there, but it's kind of the next stage upon that is kind of how they're going to psych each other out with mind games. Because when we cast the Vitalize Academy versus Divinity Empire game, Vitalize, they went straight for that difficult point straight away, didn't they? They didn't hesitate and go, oh, we'll go for the safe one first. And that's kind of what Divinity Empire kind of started falling apart for them, really, is that they went for the safe one first and then struggled to get the difficult one when they didn't have the numbers. So it'll be interesting to see in that Control again how these two teams kind of play the mind games with each other, whether they're going to try and stack that difficult point or whether they're going to try and do it in the more kind of bread and butter way, I suppose you would say.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think for me, I think it reminds me a little bit more maybe of Berlin in how easy that first point is to get, because if you remember Tuscan, you always got yourself into a position where if both teams went to A, there was a bit of kerfuffle, but if a team went to B, the other team had such a good opportunity to wrap back and get the defense in, whereas Berlin, you got that first control was so close to the attacking side spawn that the large points the defensive team would just like throw a sniper down long for like the first couple of seconds just to see if they could get a few picks or a couple of ARs, but largely you'd be looking for a solid defense over towards that B zone. So very reminiscent of that, and this is going to be the big problem, is breaking down that B. It's so much simpler for the defensive team and they're going to get a lot of picks. So interesting when we do get to the Control to see how that plays out. S&D though is the next game mode, and we know very little about how these teams shape up. We know we've seen IA Dynasty as individual players before have be very good S&D players, but a map I'm not overly familiar with is this Embassy S&D. It's been largely derided as being, again, in both its game modes, being really difficult and really awkward to play as a player. So this should be very interesting. There's going to be Ghost taking up that AR position far out, and CM is just looking to play duck hunt down the back of middle.
Yeah, it felt so. You just need to say someone needs to just go pull, and then there you go. Well, Hayden manages to time it to absolute perfection as he puts a sniper bullet straight through Solomon. CM now is going to be the last man up, and that is a very, very convincing round from Incentive of Rise Dynasty. Before we do quickly go on with the Natter, though, I do quickly want to shout out Adversitix for dropping the sub. Apologies, mate. I didn't manage to shout that one out, so thank you very much, buddy. We'll throw a few C's on the top, and a big shout out as well to Rippo Solomon, S&D Reaper, Exify, and Twisted for the follows. Thank you very much, guys. But wow, first round, that was very quick, Pabs, and for anyone who hasn't seen this map, that's usually what it tends to be like in a search right off the rip anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had this conversation before. It's a very quick map. I'd like to think Dynasty there, had the sense to have a conversation about how the boys played the hard point. There was a lot of flank going on, a lot of players taking long routes around the back. So you would hope half-heartedly that they would at least. Oh, Hayden, you dirty, dirty boy. Is he going to get into trouble though? That is number 7 is going to be CM out the back though. So Hayden with a bit of a job to do under a little bit of pressure towards the back. But what a beautiful shot there. And we see that the boys have screwed down 4v2 major as we hit that 1 minute mark.
Yeah, and CM now finds himself in a very difficult position where he now needs a 1 versus 4. He's going to put a couple of bullets into Skittles and the nade. Is it going to look good? Is he going to manage to get it on him? No, he's not. So it will still be a 1 versus 4. And now the more difficult part is they know exactly where he is. And every arrow on the side of Incentive Arise Dynasty is now going to be staring down a lane. You can see that Hayden's watching out the back. Number 4, Grizz is going to be watching the middle lane. And Ghost manages to win that one-on-one AR gunfight, which isn't a surprise for us, knowing what his abilities are like with an assault rifle in his hand. And Incentive Arise, 2-0 up, Pabs.
Mate, if that's an M4, that's a different game. But honestly, that is crazy windy shots in the end, and it costs CM with EU Ghost again doing some great work down long. So, we saw that, and that kind of superstar world star sniper from Hayden out front. We've seen really good coverage on S&D. IA Dynasty making us eat our words again. It's a beautiful scoreline so far. We've got a triple donut going on the boys, which we did not expect. But again, the pacing is so different. This is what we see a lot of the times at this level. Yep. Great hardpoint players because they the huge amounts of interactions, great reaction skills. S&D just a different game entirely.
Oh, how's that a hit marker?
How is that not a death? How is Hayden not got that kill? Hey! Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, so first pick again comes through from Hayden. Riz gets 1 before CM does reply, so it is now going to be instantly 2 versus 3. See CM there just toying with death. There you go. Oh, man. When Hayden is shooting like that with a sniper, you do not want to be the man that is looking to try and bait him out. And now Solomon finds himself alone. 1 versus 2. Will pop the Deddy, though, but you can see that bomb is now going down over towards the B site. So now Solomon, difficult position. And his Deddy, unfortunately for him, is running out very, very quickly. So he's going to have to go quickly. And now with that Deddy gone, are they going to hear him up top? Through the door he goes. The man is ready and waiting. And Ghost again, able to get the final kill over the line. And this is looking like the boys aren't even getting off the rip at the moment, Pabs. They are struggling.
Well, I mean, they can pass some advice around. CM can ask Solomon what it was like to be in a 1v4 because, again, they just leave themselves in this sort of, atrocious position, very much throwing caution to the wind and not really taking the time. But let's be perfectly honest, Hayden is absolutely dominating with the sniper. They're going to need to find some new routes. They're going to need to shake things up. Otherwise, this is going to be an absolute slap. Skittles has put his pad down. I don't think he's picked it up even in the hard point. I think he's just put his feet up. I think Slapped has joined them and says it as well. 0-3 and 0-3 is definitely struggle bus territory, mate. And yeah, again, Hayden just looking to get that cross. It does look like the strategy has changed, though.
Yeah, he's got to be careful because there's going to be a few players ready down this right-hand lane to try and push out and maybe get him out of this power position because he has commanded this side of the map every single time, it feels as though. And now a little bit of a standoff, a much slower start to the round. It must be, but look at Skittles. He's all the way pushed up past court, and now with that trophy down, there's a little bit of info for Hayden. The door now shuts, and he's not currently watching the cross, but Skittles, he's still lurking around the back. He might be the man to make the play. Are they going to anticipate that he is here? No, they're not. So Skittles out the back, able to win a big one-on-one. Can he manage to get away with his life? It looks as though he will. So a big gunfight win, and Ghost wins one as well. And again, they're now in a position, Pablo, where they just don't have the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really clever play from the boys of IA Dynasty. Again, not losing a life. I think this could be a second flawless in a row almost. And Cesar and Slapped with a big job to do. And they just don't have an answer. They can't unlock this problem. And Skittles is going to add a bit more misery to what has already been a really, really appalling S&D. And that's going to be another big kill. Another flawless performance in Dynasty 2 away from a 6-0. And the boys with a lot of work to do. Otherwise, they're going to go into control in parity.
This is a completely different map 2 to map 1. This is kind of what we were expecting for a team that we didn't know a huge amount from the players, really, to be fair. We would expect the boys of Incentive Arise Dynasty to kind of come through and throw them about a little bit. And that's exactly what's happening now in map 2, because it is all Incentive Arise. And the boys, again, you're still looking at Slapped and Cesar to even get themselves off the mark here. And meanwhile, Ghost and Skittles haven't even dropped. So I think he must have heard your comment about dropping the pad, Pabs, because he's picked it up and he's now arrived at the party.
Yeah, I think he might have it on a delay. He's going to be fuming with me. I'll get a message later going, how dare you disrespect me. Hayden, again, out wide with this sniper. I don't think these guys are going to learn. It's going to be a strong left push. It is going to be CM with a kill, though, as he finally gets to drop Skittles. CM 3 and 5, one of the players on the boys who's managed to get himself a few picks, Major. But this is the first time we've seen the IA Dynasty, I mean, if you could call it on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, it looks as though they are going to try and go for this A bomb. Oh, unfortunately there, I was going to say Riz, he's going to just push himself right in towards the path of Cesar. So, bomb will now go down. And now Ghost has got potentially quite a bit of work to try and help Hayden out here, because obviously Hayden's not got the preferred weapon that he's going to want for these close engagements. So Hayden looks as though he's going to be watching the cross over towards the rear of that spawn side. And now time is ticking. Oh no, that's a really bad trail there from Ghost. Unfortunately, just going to force the angle and gives them a free pick. But now Hayden, he's actually managed to accumulate attack, so he manages to take down one. Good reads onto Cesar and gets the second as well. So now 1 versus 1 up against Slapped. And with 17 seconds left, Hayden might just be able to play the timer on this one. Slapped's got to try and play this so carefully. He knows he's up there, surely. And now with 9 seconds left, Slap's not even going to go for the defuse. The stun's out. Round he flies. Is Hayden going to win it? No, he's not. But the bomb's going to go off, and really good work there from Hayden.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get it too. I mean, he did really well. Great two-piece to put himself in the position. You can see the shadow up top. He knows that player, you know, is up there. Does he know he's dropped down? He puts the feeler stun out. He gets a bit of information. He knows the time's dead. Doesn't matter. 5-0, and a death is great. They're 1 round away from a flawless performance, and what a way to come back from that first hard point where they were largely bodied. It was a dominant performance from the boys, and in response, you can't argue with that. 6-1, 4-1, 7-2. How Riz is negative at the minute. I guess it's just a lack of being involved in the game, but incredible performance.
Oh no. Boys, don't do it again. Oh no. Oh, to be fair, he did manage to slip through the net there. Slapped actually manages to get the kill onto Ghost as well, so they are just quickly storming that site. And meanwhile, over towards this A side, you can see that Skittles is getting quite aggressive onto CM. He knows he's in the corner. CM's going to actually hit him with the car bomb, and he manages to win that gunfight. So now 2 versus 3 in favour of the boys on this occasion. They have dropped the bomb over towards that B site, though, but you can see that number 8, Cesar, is now going to stick it. So bomb down, Hayden and Riz, 2 versus 3 required.
Yeah, I mean, this is hard scoping at its finest. It might be time to come off a little bit of the hard scope and look for some quicks. But again, it's just gone into a bit of a cat and mouse. Hayden manages to get the pick. I think he swapped guns, nearly gets the second. CM with a big kill. It is going to be a 1v2 and a big job for Riz, who's 3-3 right now. CM and Slapped with the advantage. Can they bring this back to at least 1 round? 5-0 right now, 20 seconds, Major. Still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he going to pop Deady? He's not, and he's going to go straight towards the top of the embassy building where Slapped is waiting, and he will slap him about with a few bullets. So nice work there from the boys. They finally get around on the cards after what feels like an absolute eternity, but they're going to need 5 more like that in a row if they're going to try and come back on this search. And Riz, it looks as though he's just going to try and play it smart and save his Deady for the next round.
Yeah, it was probably the better idea, to be honest, but not wasted in a 1v2 where you potentially haven't got a lot of time. So again, got a little bit of experience coming out of Ghost. Out of Riz. So yeah, good play. 3-4 though. He does need to get himself a few kills, get himself nice and positive going into the control. But still a lot of work for the boys to do. And you've really got to be looking to Solomon and Cesar, who've had an appalling S&D so far, largely picked off by Hayden at the very earlier rounds. But you can see just how aggressive Cesar's decided to push right up. Is this going to play into his favour though? Good reactions coming out of the boys in IA Dynasty. You can see that is going to be Ghost just going to be popping that streak, and that's going to go nowhere. Riz does manage to get 1 on the board, making it 4-4. Solomon still with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so that streak just forcing those players inside means that Riz can now get on the point, and more importantly, he can get the bomb down. And to add to that, he gets the kill as well. Oh, the shot's going to be clean enough from CM. No, they're not. He is going to put some bullets in. Hayden will fall, though, but he's going to have a channel out the back, which he's not able to win. So it will now be Slapped. Last man up, 1 versus 2 with 25 seconds. And you can see the split of players that Incentive Arise Dynasty have got at the moment. Is he going to anticipate the whereabouts of some of these players? It's so difficult now for him because the time is ticking, and unfortunately it feels as though it's going to be inevitable. You can see that Ghost is just watching over the site. They're going to have a little bit of an AR duel over towards that tennis court side, but there is nothing Slap can do. Incentive Arise Dynasty, they are going to take this round. They are going to take this map, and perhaps what a regain from these boys.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what they needed to just say, that hard point, guys, was a fluke. We are not that kind of team, and we'll prove it in S&D. And going into control is going to be very, very interesting. If the boys take that in resounding fashion, we are calling this a 3-0 at 2-0. So that is a great slap back. And we talked about what we wanted that game 5 at the start of the match. Well, that is right there across the board from that team. 8 and 4 from Hayden, and largely with a sniper rifle as well. Incredible plays. That is a beautiful. It's good to see some world stars come back with snipers as well.
Well, it's good now because it feels as though, right, okay, we've got a series on our hand. The boys have obviously got the message that we do like a
Skills
cheeky game 5.
Up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you'll get a DM later being like, Pabs, why are you doing me like that? But it is going to be 6-1 in map number 2. So I will just show you guys the scores just for confirmation of it. So in Centre of Rise Dynasty, they don't go down with a donut. They have now tied back up the series, and the control, Pablo, that we were talking about quite a bit before this one, we're now going to be in a position where we can be like, right, okay, let's try and get the mind games out for map 3, because obviously if you're looking at it on paper, the respawn from the boys was very, very good. The search, very, very bad. And on the flip side, incentive, disappointing map 1, very good map 2. So now we're in a position where we kind of look at it and we go, right, okay, well, we're pretty much back to take a stab at who you're going to think is take map number 3. But this is where the beauty of control comes in, obviously, because I've got a feeling this control will probably determine pretty much the way the rest of the series is going to go, in my opinion.
So for me, I think it's a bit disappointing. I would have liked to gone into this control at 2-0 and just really seen a team under pressure and see what can they produce in terms of strategy. Because right now, this control, I mean, if you're going into Greenberg and you're talking to the rest of the team and like, all right, this Greenberg control is really not our game. Let's just do what we can, and if we come out of it with a loss, let's pick it up in the next hard point and try and see what we can do as we move into the Fortress and then eventually into the game 5. So there's not as much emphasis as there should have been. I think if the boys take that S&D, it would be nice to see under pressure Hayden and Skittles and see how they respond. Again, it's still an important map. You go into the hard point at 2-1, especially if you're the boys and their performance in that first game. If you go into that game 4, you've got a tails up, you're 2-1 up. You're going into a hard point, you're going to have the psychological advantage. So this could be super interesting to see how it plans out. But again, I just don't think there's as much emphasis, and I do think we're going to see that game 5, mate.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. The guys are obviously lobbying up for map number 3, and if there is any mods in the chat and you want to do a prediction, feel free, because you can redeem a nice little soo. But apparently he might be going to Saudi Arabia, from what I've heard, perhaps for a fight, like a 7-year deal or something worth about 200 million.
Cut off.
Yeah, literally.
For crimes against football.
Imagine having that much money in your pocket, Jesus. But yeah, anyways, I digress. But yeah,
listen, I can't be talking about ex-Man United players. You just leave it to you guys.
Yeah, just no discussion. But yeah, good to see obviously the beautiful people in the chat. Moles, how you doing, buddy? And obviously Richie, the man who is behind all of Incentive Arise, who's done an incredible job ever since he's been involved in the COD scene, it must be said. Obviously here to support the boys as well, which you love to see. But yeah, if you guys did miss map 1 or map 2, I will just put the graphic back up on the screen for you. So 250 to 141 for the boys, which in all fairness, we don't know much about these guys, it must be said, and they've done very, very well in map 1, but map 2 kind of came back and clapped them straight in the face as, oh, Moles dropping the sub. Thank you very much, Moles. How you doing, buddy? It's worthy of a suey. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you very much. But yeah, map 1 and 2, completely different sides of the coin as we get ready now for Breenberg Hotel for map number 3 on control. And then if we do go to map 4, we get Al Bagra Fortress and Breenberg Hotel. And Al Bagra Fortress, Pabs, actually, is the control map. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is absolutely horrific for the team that's trying to attack, because you've got the 2 archways you can push through and you've got top maps. That's it. It is a brutal map for control. So it doesn't surprise me that we are not seeing that map at all anyways, at least for the time being.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that kind of funnel of death. I mean, it's so difficult. There's no real opportunity for you to break. It's not like you can push someone through as bait. It's just a funnel of death. Just get your players sat back and just absolutely mow them down. I don't think it's alone in that sense. In there's a few now, spurious maps and modes that just make it very difficult for a side, depending on where they spawn. And then obviously we've got the issues with spawns once you're into the game, and how they can just people just miraculously appear behind you from nowhere, like magic, like poof, just smoke, and the team's behind you. You're just like, what the hell? So yeah, this game at the minute is just proven to be. It seems to have been a thing over the last couple of years where whatever the mathematics behind the algorithm for spawning is, whoever did it really well, kind of prior to the original Modern Warfare, has obviously gone to another game, and they've just never been able to replace this person because spawns have largely been kind of farcical for the last few years, but they appear to have got worse and worse to the point where, I mean, I don't even know now. It's just so difficult to predict. And if you're a player, you think you've got, you know, one side control, you think you've got like half your map looked after, and then from nowhere you get shot in the arse. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but we ride. We've had these problems before and worse. So yeah, we move, and hopefully it'll get fixed.
Yeah, so we are now loading into map number 3, and we'll see what these boys manage to bring us. Hopefully a nice little dramatic one, because the last time we casted this one in Control, it was obviously a bit of a battering for a 3-0. So hopefully we get something different. And I don't know if my codcast is glitched. That's good to know. So I can't actually see who's who. That's good and lovely to see, isn't it? makes it slightly difficult on our part to cast. I won't lie to you, and I have no idea why on earth the game has decided to do this. But hey ho, we're freeballing this one, Pabs.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got like names in the bottom right. We've still got a kill feed, and we know the life count. So it does look like the boys are going to take that, what we talked about from the Vitalize, taking that early push towards B, just trying to get as many ticks over at that side, and they've done an incredible job of it as well. Yep. B is secured, Major. The more difficult of the two, whether they're going to have to regain the spawn from potentially a Dynasty pushing right the way through, but a big job now on the hands of Incentive Arise. They're going to find this so difficult to defend this much easier side.
Yeah, Ghost and Skittles are going to try and obviously lock down some of this middle portion of the map, but the boys have already done the damage that we saw. I don't know what Vitalize Academy did the last time we cast this one. You can see now Skittles just going to try and help his teammates over towards Dyna, but look at number 3 round the back. Slapped is going all the way round. And just a quick one, guys. I will try and sort out the score, but I don't know what COD is doing. But we'll try and get it back up, hopefully, in between rounds. Hopefully it forgives us for the brain fart that it's having. But, oh my goodness, 3 drop already. And now look at Ghost. He's kind of on his lonesome here. He's going to have to chew through them, and he will manage to put bullets into a couple of... Is he going to... Oh, my God. He puts some bullets and manages to win a second one onto Slap. So good work from him. And that's a huge set of kills, Pabs, because it allows them just to get a little bit of breathing space, because that was looking a little bit worrying.
Yeah, absolutely. You just noticed that number 5 there, I think it might be Skittles, just spawned right onto the kill as well. So should be a little bit of an easier defense right there as we're going to try and sort the scoreboard out for everyone. Yeah, now you can see already some of the players in blue just starting to chew through Incentive Arise. I think they still had a small advantage, about 29 kills to 25 at the time that we were able to see it last. But this is going to be very, very interesting. 18 plays 17, so much tighter than it was in the first few seconds. The boys with a slight advantage, just trying to work it out. But I mean, all hail IA Dynasty, because they've done a really resounding job at keeping A to no ticks whatsoever on that zone.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on Hayden. He is doing a lot of damage at the moment. 5 in a row now for him, and apologies for that, guys. I had to just quickly try and sort that out so that we can actually know what was going on, which is quite nice to know. But Hayden now 5 in a row, looking for his 6th, potentially might get it onto Cesar, and good work from Hayden. Will finally get traded out, though. Solomon's able to get the kill, and it's still become a little bit of a mess over towards the points. That's going to drop as well, as Skittles, with some good shots, is going to manage to take down 2 players in quick succession. Incentive, they are all over this one. They are digging their heels in to arguably what is the easier of the 2 points to capture. They are going to manage to get some nades in, but Ghost and Hayden, they are just locking themselves in position. Last man alive is going to be slapped all the way over towards that B point, and now you can see with them pushing out the back. These are some very optimistic shots here from Skittles, but he's doing what he needs to just delay this push, and it looks as though, unless they can go absolutely huge in some of these individual gunfights, which they're not, as they all will fall, Incentive Arise Dynasty, they managed to come through, and they managed to take round number 1. Very, very good.
Really good comms coming out of IA Dynasty there. Hayden and EU drop 3 players and just tell Skittles you've got room now, push forward, get a sight on them coming out of garage. He does just that, get that information, and they know they get a couple of picks. They've got the 5 or 6 seconds that were remaining to get that over the point. But let's not, underplay just how well the boys did in getting that very more difficult B zone. They did that off the rip. It was really nice play, and IA Dynasty had to really dig deep to protect A. So a great winning round for Dynasty. And it could be really important if they take this control going into their less favoured hardpoint against a team who absolutely dominated them in the first game. This could be vital.
Yep. So, what will the boys in blue decide to do in round number 2? Oh, jeez. I couldn't resist that one. It rhymed too well. But Cesar's actually managed to get 3 right off the start. Hayden has managed to get himself onto the B point. You can see the nade now is going to try and force him out of that one, but it looks as though he has managed to get trophies down. Meanwhile, they're going to try and work a flank. Slap's going to try and push his way all the way around the back, but it's going to come to nothing as Incentivized Dynasty, they're going to look to try and go for this B point first. And now with 2 bodies on it and Hayden shooting absolute laser beams as he takes down Solomon, it's going to be really difficult for them to try and shift these players off the point. Cesar's going to drop as well as these Scar players, or attack players, apologies, are now just watching over every single lane, and they are finding it so difficult just to even get near to this one.
So have we got a different meta now? The Scar gone. The Scar's out the window. We're on tax now. I can't keep up. I'm just going to be like, yes, that AR is very pretty. But yeah, great play from IA Dynasty taking that again. We're just, you know, if you remember, Major, back on the Vanguard days, people spent so much time on Tuscan trying to take that A zone and never really, you know, made that attempt to get P5 control so that they could then get, you know, over to that B zone. Never got that kind of top radio control. But we're already seeing this push, this kind of like attempt to try and get B, so it's nice to see this kind of evolution in the gamer's mindset working nice and early. But CM with big kills, and IA Dynasty now with the unenviable task of trying to break down the boys over towards this A side. Yeah. Have they learned anything from the defensive side? Well, let's wait and see.
You can see that Slaps is out the back. Solomon wins his gunfight, and Slaps wins his, so there's still going to be another one potentially for him as Riz is just lurking. But you can see where Cesar is over towards Kitchen. He's able to take down those players that are going to look to try and reinforce the players over towards that backside of the hill. But Hayden and Ghost do manage to get respective picks, and now it does open up the site a little bit. CM's going to be a free pick there for one. Solomon's able to take down one, but Hayden makes the trade, and now Incentivized, they are on the point, and now the boys in blue, they need to go quick.
Yeah, they're going to need to get this defense in, because if they get a tick, that's going to give them advantage. Even if the boys are able to, you know, get themselves this round, that extra tick might play into the hands of IA Dynasty, but they're going to be approaching 2. So this has been an incredible play right now. This is a different side. I don't even know. I think maybe game 1, the IA Dynasty were assimilating them and just basically causing any problems. That's insane. Insane plays. IA Dynasty go 2-0. That was absolutely wild. That had totally misread the entire end of the game. It was so crazy.
Yeah, they had an opportunity there to at least contest. We'll see the 3-piece that Cesar got right out the block, but that was pretty much the peak of that round for the boys, because towards the end they had opportunities to maybe get the contest on, but unfortunately they just hesitated too long. I think it might have been CM actually was the man working that pinch from Kitchen side, but they just didn't get the kills. The guys laid prone. They hid from the bullets, and they got the ticks to go with it with that double stack. So good work there from Incentivized Dynasty. And now the boys, they are well and truly on the back foot. This is not going to be an easy comeback from here, because at the moment, Incentivized, they are looking like the wind is well and truly in their sails. And with Hayden shooting as he is, currently 19. I was about to say 19-6, but I commentated cursed him. Apologies, Connor, mate.
It's always the way.
It's just the way it goes at this stage, isn't it? It's like, this is why we're so hesitant to provide gas to players that are doing well, because we just completely jinx it.
Let's be honest, let's never move into motorsports, mate. That is definitely let's not move into any kind of dangerous sport whatsoever, because we will jinx them entirely. That kill feed, Major, has been ominously yellow for 2 solid rounds, and even in this 3rd round, it is maintaining its yellowness. And when you've got Hayden on an SMG shooting like that, the man is capable of using any gun. It is going to be problematic for them. And right now, only a partial tick over towards B. They look like they're in complete control of this game. Ghost is having a laugh. That is an incredible kill by CM, who gets the headshot multiplier. But Skills just windiest shots in the world. It is going to be Hayden looking to get the backup. He gets the nade out with the trophy. He's just going to defend them there. He pushes forward, gets the kill. Can anyone stop Hayden, Major?
He is frying at the moment. He is almost triple positive.
I can smell the bacon.
Count. Look at the life count that has just completely been ripped out of them. And now we will see Hayden. Death from above now pending. Gotta feel sorry for the poor lads on the point on this one. See you later, boys. There's a 2-piece just to add to it as he now pushes 30 kills. Hayden has just completely taken over this map. He's looking for more to go into the blender. Is he going to manage to drop the 30 bomb with 15 seconds left? If they challenge him, you feel it's inevitable. He gets bullets into one. Here come the boys. There's 1. There's 29. Somebody give him 30, I beg, just for the stats. Somebody's surely got to do something, because it looks inevitable. I think Cesar has just resigned to the fact that they don't maybe want him to get 30 kills. And I think this one, it must be said, Pabs, is done.
Yeah, that is an absolute frying right there. You can smell the oil. Cooking was absolutely on fire. And, Hayden, man of Harlech Valor, right there. The big Welshman comes good and incredible performance. Whether he picks up an AR, an SMG, whether he's sniping, he seems to be able to do it all. And long in the memory is that first hard point because it doesn't appear to exist anymore. The boys have completely fell off in terms of their capability, in terms of their slaying power, and in terms of their strategy, which looked on point in the first game. And now it looks very much like they're going to be on the receiving end of a 3-1 unless they can, bring back the memories of that first Embassy hardpoint and just bring it back to Fortress.
No. Just confirmation for you guys. We now see a lead change in this series. Incentive Arise. They had a difficult map 1, but map 2 and map 3 have looked absolutely phenomenal for them as they now see themselves 2-1 up and only 1 map away from taking this series. So brilliant work there from those boys. But we got to say it. Hayden and Ghost on that map, they looked very, very good. When those ARs are firing for this Incentive Arise roster, it does look as though they are a completely different team because those were the players that kind of struggled in map 1, really, wasn't it? And now we see a completely different team almost.
Yeah, absolutely. We were joking about how poor Skittles was. We were kind of messing around. We bigged up Hayden and EU and Skittles in terms of their capabilities, and then they had this quite appalling map 1. Well, guys, we weren't making it up. We did see these guys play last year in Vanguard, so we know how good they can be, but well, thankfully they've come back to form. But the boys now, can they just rekindle what they did in that first map? We know they've clearly got the capability. Maybe it's time to stick the walls back on and just get firing as quickly as possible, because you're going to need to bring this back to 2-all if you want that map 5, and they do need to big themselves up. So it's time to put control out your mind. It's time to put the S&D definitely out your mind. This is a completely different game. You're in a game of 2 that you need to win both rounds.
Yep.
That's exactly how the boys need to push through. Dynasty, on the other hand, they just need to carry momentum through. And Ghost, wow, what a performance coming out to him supporting Hayden for that near 30 kills.
Yeah, and as mentioned, this is a really big game here for both of these respective teams. The boys are currently unbeaten, and so too are Incentive Arise Dynasty. For anyone who doesn't know, the boys are currently sat top of Division 1 Group A with a record of 4-0, and Incentive Arise hot on their heels at 2-0. So this could potentially be what decides first place and second place in this group. It looks as though these two are the cream of the crop here, as we've got an XP League Europe for the Division 1 Group A section anyway. For anyone who is interested in Incentive Arise, obviously they've got a couple of games in hand. But yeah, whoever takes this LPABs, you're probably looking at they're going to be the runner-up in this one. So again, we do like to add fuel to the fire and put some of these players under pressure a little bit. But this is a very important game in what could be kind of the seedings going into the bracket play for I think Division 1 is playing for 480 quid. So yeah, quite a bit of money on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. If this is the only game that separates these two teams, this is huge. Whoever wins and potentially gets that better seed, and they don't have to face potentially someone of a more difficult caliber. Again, it's just let's wait and see. Hardpoint it's going to be a great opportunity to see whether Dynasty have really picked up or whether they're just very good at S&D and control. This hardpoint is going to give us that information, and it's going to be interesting to see whether that first game was a fluke for the boys and whether this is just a great one game for them, or whether they've got something in the tank, whether they are actually the team that we were told they were, and whether they can go into this map 4 and take over. But one thing's for sure, Major, regardless of the outcome, the boys to win this, they're going to need to win S&D. And they just look so appalling at that S&D. I just can't see it happening. Regardless of the result, if they have a fluke and win 3-2, they need to go back to the drawing board and have a strong look at control and S&D and just start to work it out, what it is that, are they over-challenged? Are they under-challenged? Is their S&D strats a little slow, or are they kind of too aggressive? Their picks are definitely not there, so work on their reactions a little bit more, because they were just getting bodied. Little bits of information, Hayden had a ball with that sniper, and if you're going into the 3rd round after being sniped heavily in the first 2 rounds, it's time to change tack, it's time to change routes, it's time to throw on a couple of SMGs and make it difficult for them to get those snaps on at long distance. So just a lot of work to do for the boys in the background, but this game's going to be exciting.
I think that's where a lot of people have complaints, especially about Embassy as a map, because it is so small, it's so compact, and getting over that middle portion because of where the spawns are, there's not really a huge amount you can do. You've got to cross eventually. And if the players on the defensive side are already in position, like you say, if Hayden's having a game where he's not missing, there's not really a huge amount you can do. Obviously, I don't think don't quote me on this one, but I don't know if smokes are allowed or if they have been GA'd in search now, because it was at one point you could have a smoke to go alongside the sniper, and obviously that made it a hell of a lot easier for the guys trying to get to the bomb site and cross over that middle ground in Embassy. But now I don't think they have smokes. I think it has been GA'd.
I think they would have used it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so when you've got snipers watching lanes and you can't smoke the middle cross, it is so hard to get to some of these parts of the map, and like you say, it just feels inevitable. And when you're getting battered time after time after time, it just becomes mind games at that point where you just don't know what to do. You can start second guessing yourself, and it just all falls apart like we saw in map 2.
Yeah, it's not like you can get the A control either, even if you want to plant B and you think, right, I'll get A control just so that we lock down mid. The angle is so acute that it's so easy for a sniper to get the pick. But again, we are just rocking into this hard point. The boys had an incredible first map. This is a totally different kettle of fish, though, very reminiscent of Bacage Major in its pace and in terms of its interactions and how frenetic it is. So again, a big first point as well, one where we do see a lot of interaction. Right now it is going to be the boys, and they very much do look like they're starting to get the picks that they were getting in that first game.
Yeah, so Incentive Arise find themselves on the point, but get ready for the battles over towards P2. Oh, Ghost isn't able to win that one. That's an important gunfight, and now they will have a number of players looking to try and rotate over here. Incentive, and Hayden's now on a 5 already, so already Hayden is out the blocks and he is firing. He's going to look for a couple of players that are lurking round the back. He's going to come across CM, so there's 1 kill for Hayden. Now puts himself onto 6, and you can see now that cruise missile is ready to be used as and when they decide to use it. And this is what we saw, Pabs, on the last time we casted this map. P2 and P3 on this map, on Al-Bagra, are very, very important. They're money hills, and now he's got that cruise missile to potentially break P3. That could be a really big bit of utility for the boys of Incentive Arise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether he's just going to hold it for another hill. I think he thinks that the potential for them to be able to break this hill, especially if they've had 2 dominant previous games, I think they're feeling very, very confident. Riz jumps out, gets the jump shot on Cesar. So, yeah, I think he's going to keep it in the back pocket just in case things get a bit tense and a bit close. I think they're very confident. I think they've got the psychological advantage in this game. So you can already see that very difficult P3 that we're going to be heading towards now. You can see the blue arrows already thinking about getting set up for it, and this is going to be a tough one to break.
Yeah, are we going to see the streak? Are we going to see the streak from Hayden here? Because this, in my eyes anyway, would be a prime opportunity for it. Yep, there you go, right on cue. So Hayden is going to look to try and invest this to get these players out of these difficult power positions. There's going to be 2... What? Oh, is it a trophy? I forgot the trophies shoot down the cruise missiles. I think it might have been that actually stops it. So that is an absolute kick in the balls there for Incentive Arise Dynasty. You do not want to see that. And they're still going to now be able to have those bodies in towards the hill. Wait. And they're going to struggle to break this one now.
What? What about... So we go from Vanguard, where we didn't have a trophy for half the season, to mega trophies, some kind of encrypted trophies where they can stop nuclear bombs and all kinds of things. Oh! Insane. You'd be fuming. You earn yourself a cruise and you can't use it because the trophy's down. Well, I mean, all advantage then to the boys as they take a slender lead from, you know, a clever play. They get the trophy down. Hayden decides to use the cruise. It doesn't go in their advantage, and they've got themselves not only a lead, but CM is absolutely frying right now. 14 and 6. We saw this out of them. They're very much a hard point side. They seem very capable, you know, enjoy the hyper interactions that you get on Fortress.
Yeah, now the lead gonna start to sway now. Money hills for both the respective teams. Now see them tied up, but Incentive, they are ready to go for this next one on P4, and now up towards top dark will go Cedar. There's going to be a couple of players ready and waiting underneath, one of which is going to be Riz. He's going to check his corner. He is, but Cesar manages to take him down. So now this is a really, really ample opportunity now for the boys to really stack a huge chunk of time and push this lead out. Solomon gets another pick. The kill feed lights up blue. Skittles does reply with 1, but at the moment, especially with this man on your screen frying the way he has been, it's going to be so, so difficult for them to push in. Ghost in towards top dark will get traded out by Slapped, and every single second that goes in their favor on this hill is just going to edge that lead out just a little bit.
Yeah, they've done so well over the last 2 hills in terms of just managing to maintain trades, managing to maintain, you know, a consistent kill rate, and then they've managed to turn that into a bit of time. But there's one thing, I know they dominated towards the end of that first hill, but one criticism you could give the boys is that they overkilled. Each player had over 20 kills. They didn't necessarily turn that into time. The latter portion of the time they took forever to get. So this is something IA Dynasty could potentially take advantage of if they just maybe slow the game down down a little bit and start trying to bring it round to their pace. Riz is on a 5-streak, a player who struggled in control and struggled in S&D, were 2 games that the IA Dynasty dominated. Is now that we're into the mix, he's absolutely gone off in his 14 and 9. And again, 2 players we did see struggle in the first hard point. EU and Skittles, EU Ghost, both on 9 and 15 and 9-11 respectively, but at least good old Craig's got himself 1 solid minute of time as we see the boys in IA Dynasty Major start to bring things close again.
Yeah, CM needs his boys to spawn in. If they can produce some more kills alongside him, this would be such a one-sided map, but it is now pretty much back to even as we now get ready for that next rotation. But look at number 8 out the back, Hayden. He might be able to be the man just to cause a little bit of an upset here. You can see Cesar is inside the truck though, and they are just looking the complete wrong way. So Hayden has to make the play here. He doesn't have Deddy to work with. And are they going to read it? Oh, he's going to get some shots into Solomon, so he manages to take him down. And Cesar, now all alone inside, flies out the corner, and he's not going to win that one, Hayden, as Cesar stays alive, but the trades come through, and Incentive Arise breaking just when they need to.
Yeah, this has been an incredible performance there, just to keep this towards level playing. Right now, you're seeing a lot of interactions and not a lot of time being converted. This has been a really competitive hardpoint, so much better than the first one. You can see those yellow arrows, though. One thing we didn't see out of Incentive Arise Dynasty in that first hardpoint was them getting control of the hill and pushing out ready for next. And already with over 25 seconds remaining, number 6 there in EU Ghost making that play over. I don't think he's realised just how many players have decided to make that push, though. P1 has largely been forgotten with the, it looks like number 4 then, Solomon, just going to make a cursory play towards it. Big fight goes down between Solomon and Skittles. No one is the winner there, and already we can see the boys set up for that P2.
Yeah, you can see Cesar slapped. They're ready and waiting, and the kill feed lights up blue just for the time being, but Ghost has not moved out the back here, but after all of that, he's not able to stay alive, and Slap gets a really big 2-piece. There's going to be another man on the outside of him, and Hayden does win that gunfight, so they've still got to try and deal with Hayden, who's going to be a bit of a pain. The trades come through instantly, and they're going to look just to try and stack the point with bodies. But now, where do they try and pinch this from? Ghost is going round the back of the hill. They know he's there courtesy of a nade that's going to weaken him up just for now, but nobody is currently being very quick to try and pinch him. The Skittles gets 2 really big kills over towards double doors, and now they look to try and bully their way straight into the point of Incentive Arise. Do it absolutely seamlessly.
Yeah, that was incredible play. It looked like it was going to be a 2-man pinch from either side, but Skittles gets himself a 2-piece backed up by Hayden, and he managed to break the hill. And already the boys making their way round to P4. They're like, screw that. We're not going to try and mess around with the last 20 seconds. That's going to give Dynasty a 20-second lead. Right now, that is huge. Ritz gets a monumental 2-piece. He should never have gone with the SMG. He's going to just re-transition, try and get a slightly different angle. But incredible plays, and IA Dynasty looking very much on track right now to get themselves a solid chunk of time if they can get control of the other half of the hill.
Those kills, honestly, they are absolutely massive from Riz. He stops that initial control that the boys have got on the point. Now, where are the spawns going to be? They are going to be a little bit parallel as Solomon is on the hill. But now, when are they going to look to try and make the pinch here? Because they've got to try and get the man off the hill. Solomon's done a really good job of staying alive, and they're going to find it difficult unless somebody can maybe pinch him off the hill. But he's going to just push the angle out, and he gets dropped. So it will now be Incentive Arise Dynasty back on the point. And this is a really big set of 20 seconds. If you are the boys, you do not want to try and drop much more time on this one. Cesar's going to try and fly around the corner, able to take down one. Cesar can't get the second, though. The trades are absolutely huge from Ghost once again. As Incentive Arise Dynasty, they don't want to let go of this map, and they push this lead out ever more further to close it up towards that 200-point mark.
Yeah, this is going to be just shy of 195, and they're going to be having a very difficult time pushing into this. But again, the team that don't start on this hill, the team that have to breach, have got that slight advantage. They've got a number of different places they can get in and out of. So much entry and egress, it's insane. This is such a difficult kill to hold. CM goes big, Solomon goes big. That's going to allow the boys to get a little bit more time, but Skittles just being very sneaky, waiting for that support. Is he going to get that reaction kill? No, Solomon manages to take down Skittles, 180 to 195. There's still a good chunk of time left on this, and you can see those yellow arrows just starting to break the way forward, but can they break at all? This is a monumental kill for the boys right now.
Oh, Skittles isn't able to win the second one. Solomon and Cesar get respective kills for their teams, and now they've got to try and force their way in. This is the stage of hardpoint where it just becomes an absolute mess. And it will be the scrap time going in favour of Incentive Arise, so they will be the first team over that 200-point mark. But now the P5, this is the one that can be the game changer here, potentially, for these two. They have got the bodies ready and waiting, but one man they're going to have to keep an eye on is going to be Hayden up towards the top middle portion here of the map. It's going to be so difficult for them to try and get him out, but he overpeaks, and CM wins a really big gunfight. And with Solomon soaking up the time, they're going to find this really difficult to break in. Look at the setup that the boys have got.
Yeah, this was a prime moment potentially for that cruise that he
Big kill.
let go in the first
Big
rotation.
kills.
That is a huge kill. Skittles gets a three-piece from nowhere. Absolutely huge plays. Gets himself on the kill. Goes big. Riz with the support kill on Slapped. And this is a very, very difficult time now for the boys. This could be decisive. With 35 seconds, the challengers need to come out. Craig goes huge again. Riz and EU goes back him up. And this has been a very, very stout ending towards this game. You can see number 3 there in CM. He's just going to try and cause himself some problems. Trying to get those picks. Probably needs to consider destroying the trophy. Does get that pick, mate, and this is going to be a very exciting end to this game.
Oh man, you can see the investment of streaks there as we now get ready for P1. Hayden's going to be the first man here. He's got to be careful not to overchal anything because his boys do have quite a little bit of map presence over here, and Slap's shots aren't going to be clean enough though. And you can see that kill feed is so yellow as Solomon's looking to try and bully his way in, but he can't do it. And now with 18 seconds left, the boys, they've got to compose themselves, but at the same time, they've got to go quick, and Riz is just chewing through them out towards the back of double doors, and he manages to bully through 3 of them. And now this is where the panic button starts to get hit. They have to get on the point. They have to contest. 1 kill goes in favor. The second kill does as well, but the Ghost is still alive on the point. They need to get him out. He's got help in the form of Skittles, and Skittles gets a massive 2-piece, and that is the nail in the coffin. Incentive Arise Dynasty. The map 1 from them was terrible, but 2, 3, and 4 were sublime.
Absolute work coming out of Hayden, EU Ghost, Riz, and Skittles there. And Skittles towards the end of this game went absolutely huge. We talked about what an incredible player he can be. Frenetic, he loves the pace, he loves to play up close, and he goes and proves it with an absolute performance there. 29 and 26, 21 untraded, but Riz there, again, a player who did struggle in the previous rounds, goes huge in the hard point. I mean, what was that game 1? What was that game 1? Was it anomaly? The boys are clearly good at hard point, but wow, absolutely wow from Incentive Arise Dynasty. 6 and 1 in S&D. It was a dominant performance on Embassy, and then they just made that control look so easy. And you know, once you get Hayden and once you get Ghost absolutely rolling with those, you know, I mean, Hayden can use anything. He's a great flex, so he can use whatever he wants. But unreal plays, Major, unreal plays.
Yeah, so just confirmation on the screen there. Incentive Arise, they dropped map 1, but 2, 3, and 4, credit where it's due, they looked much more like the team that we are used to seeing on Call of Duty. So GG's there to both of the teams. The boys, they come out firing well, but unfortunately they just weren't able to get it done in the end. So a nice little, it wasn't quite a game 5, but we'll take it. We had some very, very good maps on the hard points, especially. You can see that 250 to 218. It did become a bit of a mess towards the end. And a quick shout out as well to Staples, Radley, and Mr. EU Ghost for the follows. Thank you very much, guys. And GG's in the chat, no problem, Hayden. Anytime, buddy. Anytime, mate. But wow, really good series. Oh, Ghost dropping the sub as well. What a man. Thank you very much, buddy. And yeah, good maps there from Ghost. It must be said, Pablo. When he's playing well, Ghost, his team pretty much wins 99% of the time. We saw this on the Vitalized roster last season, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he can take over a map, and we saw it, Greenberg Control. You know, he just sat back, kind of bar back, kind of cafe area, and just absolutely dominated the boys. 2 and 3 pieces, no problem. When he's got the support coming out of Craig and Hayden as well, I mean, it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be a dominant performance. But really, you know, as well, you just look to Riz. He did have a couple of quiet games, but he went huge towards the end. But yeah, Ghost is definitely, again, another player we touted last year as someone who, I think if he could get himself into the right team with a strong in-game leader who's got good strategies and just bring him through, he's a player that could get more consistent and start to potentially, you know, we've seen him do well in 2Ks last year. You know, I just think this could be his year with the pace of this game, the time to kill. I mean, he's so lethal with that AR. This could be a good year for him.
Yeah, so GG's in the chat. You do love to see it. Commiserations there to the boys, but they did put up a good performance in map 1. And as it seems to be relatively new to the competitive scene from what we've seen anyways, it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of take the raw ability that they do have and just refine it a little bit, because obviously a lot of these teams that they will be coming up against have been around the block quite a few times. And as you come to expect, the Incentive Arise Dynasty lads, they managed to regain, they clutch up, and they managed to take the series. But that will be it from myself and Pablo this evening, guys. Thank you very much to everyone who's dropped by in the chat, and a quick shout out again to Ghost and Molds for dropping the subs, of Versatix as well. Thank you very much, guys. And obviously a broad thank you to everyone who tunes in every single time me and Pabs cast. And of course, I have to thank the duo for joining me once again, because he was meant to be in retirement, but I keep pulling him back out. So thank you very much, Pablo.
Mate, I absolutely love doing these kind of like the regular league. I just, you know, I can't do the full days anymore. I've got so much to do. But you just put the Pab signal out, and you know I'll always be there for you.
Yeah, cheers, brother.
Oh,
So-
but saying that, as I say that, well, listen, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas as well,
yeah.
because I'm out tomorrow night, and then Saturday night's like Christmas Eve, so I won't be casting then anyway. So you guys, I'm going to see you, you know, after the Christmas period, and have a great Christmas. If we don't see you before New Year, have a great New Year as well, folks.
Yeah, no, 100%. Just reiterating what Pablo said. Good thing you remembered, mate, because I wouldn't have. So yeah, hope you guys have a brilliant Christmas and a happy New Year. If we don't see you in that time, and I hope Santa brings you plenty of gunny. Because that's what I've been asking for years.
Christmas noobs!
But I still haven't
Christmas
got it.
noobs!
Yes. Get all the Detries on the pubs, and hopefully they'll be worse than us. So yeah, I wish you guys a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If we don't see you between now and then, but yeah, we should be back very shortly for some more Call of Duty action as and when the games pop up. But yeah, we'll be away, but we'll be back soon. But yeah, thank you guys, and we will see you for some more Call of Duty action further down the line. Big smooches to all of you beautiful people, and we'll see you then.